Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another pull workout. Minor changes to the rep and set scheme today. I did more sets of 8 today instead of 5. I feel like, I just need a little bit more training volume. We're going to rotate through some of that, and you guys already know there's going to be some adjustments coming up to my training next month. And so we're going to be using a little bit more variation there. But as far as the deadlift goes, increase the weight slightly. And people who have been following know I've been dealing with an erector strain that I've rehabbed. And now that I'm rebuilding my hook grip up, we will let the hook grip dictate what I can deadlift. So I was going to try to get 2 to 3 reps with this today, just to see if the hook would hold up. And I kind of didn't set the hook very well on the second rep with this, so it slipped a little bit. So it's just 445. For a double. And yeah, I know guys are like, man, we've seen you do this for like 10 reps before. Yeah, but that's not with the hook grip and not after an erector strain. So, I'm just going to work with what I can, and we'll just slowly let the rebuilding the hook grip is going to dictate what my deadlifts look like. And I'm going to be working my deadlifts back up a lot this year, but we're going to generally do them with the hook grip, the heaviest sets, and I'm going to let that dictate what I lift. I'm not going to let things like my lower back or any of that be my limiting factor. Grip is going to be the limiting factor. And the point I would argue with something like the deadlift, given all the musculature involved and the fact that I'm not even doing it for a lot of volume, it's really just for competitive purposes eventually and for just improving overall strength and neural efficiency. So the deadlift does carry over to your other lifts, and people need to remember that. Getting strong on the deadlift has absolute carryover to other lifts in terms of just neuromuscular efficiency. So I'm not that worried about getting a lot of volume in with it. I'm just not. I'm going to use other lifts for that. That's what things like the rows, the good mornings, even the squats and squat variations are going to be for. So yeah, we are going to start throwing some complexity in my training. I feel like, again, from a size and overall strength perspective, I've done pretty well again coming back now that I've been able to really train again. And people forget I had a period of time where my training, due to all my crazy ass stocking and everything, was difficult. But now that I've got, secure home location where I don't have to worry about being swatted while I'm training. Yes, I have actually been swatted in the middle of a workout session. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. HPD and the SWAT team has my address. They know they were never going to send a SWAT team here without confirmation. No one's going to harass me. I'm able to train however I want. I've built a pretty good base again, as you guys saw with all the Bulgarian stuff last year, but it is time for me to, again, go back to a little bit more complex training like I've done historically. And what people need to realize, this is, again, for my own benefit and everything. It doesn't mean I'm going to expect everyone to replicate this. To be honest with you guys, most of you guys can get really jacked and really strong, and you can hit most of the standards that I've given you out there off of basic full body 3-day-a-week training. You don't need any sort of complex programming or large amounts of assistance movements or anything else to reach most of those goals. And that's the difference that people need to remember. And in fact, I would argue that a lot of you, it could interfere with your goals to do too much of that, depending on where you are in your training. Something people need to keep in mind. Just because someone who's very advanced is training a certain way doesn't mean that you're going to get good results doing that. Reduced the weight slightly on rows today. I felt like just doing them slightly stricter today. As you guys saw there, did them a little bit stricter, did 4 sets of 8, just for speed and as much speed as I could generate, right? I wanted bar speed rather than cheat reps per se with the heaviest weight. I was just focusing on a dynamic aspect of it. Good mornings, I did 4 sets of 8 today instead of 5 or 6 sets of 8, but I increased the weight slightly. 4x8 is actually a good all-around higher volume protocol, one I like. There's good data on that, by the way. There's a lot of research on that. People should actually look sometimes at the amount of volume for different experienced lifters of where diminished returns start to occur. You'd be surprised. 4x8 actually works pretty well for volume blocks for more advanced lifters. Actually works pretty well. So yeah, 4x8 on this, increase weight slightly, and we're just going to keep getting stronger on these. I mean, the goal will be this year to be doing higher rep work sets with like 225 on these with good form, good explosiveness. I'd like to see that for sets of 8 would be pretty good. So we'll build the good morning up, which is going to help with my stability on my squat, and it's going to be one of my deadlift builders, right? I'm going to use it to build the deadlift. So these are more of my overall hypertrophy exercises are going to be the rows. They're going to be the good morning. Whereas in the deadlift, it's going to have more of a place of just an all-around strength builder. So I may not do a lot of volume with it unless I start doing more speed pulls coming up. So yes, guys, my overall training volume is going to be going up. A little bit more assistance and accessory work is going to be done, and we're even going to see a little bit of weak point training. You're going to see a little more cheat curls. You're going to see more cheat curls. Why? Because the only reason people think I'm not ultra jacked is the fact that I don't have 19-inch arms. That's it. If I had bigger arms, everyone would think that I'm monstrous compared to half these guys who are smaller than me, who everyone thinks are so jacked. It's because they get lean and they have big arms and delts and all of that. That's really what it comes down to. So that's fine. While I continue to cut down, I'm going to do things like build my biceps. I'm going to make sure my delts are a little bit bigger. That's fine. It's marketable. It's marketable. But I think what people are going to find is that when you build the base and you're getting basic muscle fiber recruitment on a lot of these other exercises, you don't need large amounts of specific work for these things. In other words, you don't need to come in and do 20 sets of curls. Do 20 sets of curls. Like I'm going to do 3 sets of curls today. 3 sets, what I'm going to end up doing. And that's sufficient because I did 4 sets of rows. And people need to remember I'm going to be rowing and curling twice a week, and I may increase the curls later. Hell, I might even eventually, depending on where I'm at in my training, even do some laterals, even though the press is going to be my main delt builder. The rows actually help with delts a lot. They help a lot. Look at the EMG data. And then, you know, face pulls probably be done. But worst case, if I need to do some, I'll do them. But that's the point that needs to be made, is that those little smaller movements, even if you're trying to bring up those areas, they really need to take a back seat. They become optional lifts, and they're not something you need to focus on. They're things you can throw in at the end of a workout, assuming your connective tissue will allow for it. And you need to be selective in those lifts, all right? Connective tissue inflammation will limit what you can do. And if those smaller lifts start limiting your big lifts, they become counterproductive. So they need to be done carefully in terms of overall volume, honestly, because they can take away from the bigger exercises. So again, it's about being careful with how you program them and where. And because right now I'm only doing pulling twice a week, I can get away with a little more volume on things like cheat curls, right? And we'll use that to continue to build my biceps up. And I think even while cutting, I'm going to be able to do that. But yeah, I'm going to continue to cut, adjusting my diet and stuff. I've added more cardio in. And a lot of people ask on that, what are you doing with that? Well, I don't do cardio immediately after lifting. I have the luxury of being able to live a relatively perfect lifestyle being a full-time YouTuber. You know, people say, what do you mean full-time YouTuber? I mean, to be honest here, people need to realize for most of you out there, statistically speaking, I make more money at this than most of you do. And that's just using statistics. I can look at the average income in America, and I'm going to assume most of you are not above at the average income. And I am. So it affords me the ability to have a more perfect lifestyle. So that means, for me, I eat a large amount of food before doing cardio. So if I do cardio now after lifting, because I actually lift fasted these days, I have at least 1,500 calories. At least a minimum of 1,500 calories between a workout and any cardio I do. And that is so that I can have some recovery and replenishment and everything from the lifting, so that there's less interference effect. I can be well into the recovery process and have an alternate fuel source, because the cardio is there just to improve my overall energy turnover, right? It's there to help facilitate some additional recovery. That's what I'm doing with it. But back to these curls. Yeah, we did 3 sets of curls today. Now, could I probably worked in a 4 set? Maybe, but I don't think I need more than that, because even then, 3 sets of curls, if I did that twice a week on top of my rows, all right, that's 6 sets of cheat curls every week. That's a pretty significant amount of workload when you factor in the amount of rowing and pulling and other stuff I'm doing. And the only reason I would be doing more curls, people say, well, why not tricep stuff? Well, because I feel like tricep direct exercises, like people think of as extensions and things, I feel like they cause more inflammation than they're worth. They cause more inflammation than they're worth. And because I'm doing a lot more pressing, than I am upper back pulls that would work the biceps, my volume is already significantly higher. And this just helps bridge the gap. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.